Hello and welcome back to Not a Pro. This is the channel where I document my journey to go from a below average athlete to the Brisbane Olympics marathon winner. Yeah, we go, baby. Now I'm here on my recovery week. Now I only get these once every 11 weeks, so it is glorious. Other than the weather, it's I've come out a bit later today because my wife and son have headed into town, so I've got the day to myself. But it's about 9 o'clock and it's still -2. Better than this morning. I had to go do the shopping before I came out and it's -4. Freezing. Now today what I want to talk about is recovery and motivation, because they are such big components on proper training and growing as a runner. So as I said before, I'm on my recovery week this week, and so what I do is I like to almost half every session. And so for example, when I did my intervals, instead of doing 12 by 3 minutes, I did 6 by 3. It was also at a lower intensity. So normally, I think at the moment, I've got up to about 6 minutes per K for each 3 minutes. But now, this week it was, I think it's close to 7. So, I mean, you can check my Strava if you want to know. And again, in my endurance runs, I was zone 1, zone 2. Instead of doing an hour and a half, I did 45 minutes. And today, so last week, my long run was 1 hour 35. Today, it's going to be a nice 1 hour. So instead of doing 12, 13K, probably only going to hit just under 8. So you can see it's quite a big drop. So last week I did 56K, and this week I'm probably looking at, not sure yet, just took out a session tomorrow, but probably be 27 to 30, I think. And that's what a recovery is. You need to take the time to let the legs recover, because you don't build your speed and your endurance and your performance by your efforts. I mean, technically you do, but you can do as many efforts as you want, but if you don't give your legs time to recover and to build back stronger, it's just going to be a waste. You might gain 1% performance from that session instead of all 100%. So that's why recovery is so important. I apologize if I'm slowing my words a bit. I feel like my lips are a bit numb. I'm not sure if you can hear me properly or not, but there should be some subtitles and captions that I'll chuck in to hopefully make it easier to understand what I'm saying. Oh, it's so cold. I wish I was up in Gold Coast right now doing the Gold Coast Marathon. I think that's on tomorrow at time of recording. Last week, if you're watching this live. And so I mentioned it in my video a few weeks back, how I skipped 5 sessions. Now, I don't think I was as clear as I should have been. I didn't skip the 5 sessions because I wanted to. I skipped the 5 sessions because I was sick. Because, you know, cold weather makes most people sick. And so the fact that I only skipped 5 is actually pretty impressive. Normally I'll have 2 to 3 weeks off, you know, every time the seasons change. So the fact that I've only, you know, kept running the week and, you know, dropped it down to 30K instead of 0 for 2 weeks, it's pretty impressive. But that all comes down to motivation, and not just motivation, discipline, because anyone can lose motivation. But if you know, I have to run an hour today, you're gonna run. Maybe you don't feel like it, but if you get into the routine, it doesn't matter whether you want to or not, you just do it. And that's what's happened over the last 6 months. I've built that routine. I don't always feel like running, but I do it. And that's one of the things is motivation. My motivation is quite low right now, but because I've got you guys following me on YouTube, but a few guys on Strava, and it's just so motivating when I upload these videos and I see you people liking, subscribing, commenting. It just makes me feel so much better. Now, and say that, I'm still going to do the sessions, whether you guys do that or not. But it just makes it feel like it's a lot more worthwhile. When I see people like Jake Barrowclough in Gold Coast aiming for 210, and I'm here, I'm like, oh, maybe I can get under 5. It's like, is it worth it spending 7 to 10 hours a week training when I can only get under 5? Another thing that gives me motivation, well, I'm gonna say motivation, but makes me keep to the schedule, is knowing that I am aiming for the Olympics. It's gotta be bloody hard. Will I make it? I don't know. But this is my one and only chance. If I give up now, it's never gonna happen. I'll be 35, 36 when the Olympics happen. And so there's no way I'm going any further. It's either Brisbane or bust. And that gives you a bit more motivation and discipline to make sure I hit the sessions. Because I know that if I don't, I don't. And what I've noticed, especially with my weight, is that I need discipline. I don't need motivation, I need discipline. Because I think I've said it a few times, but my weight just fluctuates. Can be 10 kilograms, you know, very frequently. I've fluctuated between about 90 and 100 kilograms over the past 6 years, since about 2020. Back when I was a cyclist, I was going hard. I was training hard, I had a good diet, but when I stopped everything. My mindset then is pretty similar to what it is now. If I'm not aiming for something, I'm just gonna give up. If I'm not training, if I'm not aiming for performance, why should my body be a performance? And so that's what happens, is if I'm not aiming for the top, I end up at the bottom. And so that's how I got to a bit over 100 kilos before I started this block, is because I just gave up. I put on the weight, I wasn't training, and I had no intention of doing anything. And that's why it's important to continue now, because I do not like how I look as a fat person. I don't want to be super thin, I want to be thinner. But I need that discipline, I need that motivation. One of the most important aspects of discipline / motivation is trusting your training plan. Now, I've seen a few people that go, let's say they do a easy base zone 2 run, but then they'll do it at like 160 beats per minute. I did a video last week where I talked about your zones. Now for me, I have to run in zone 3. That is not base. But you gotta have the motivation and the dedication, the discipline to know there's a reason you're doing a zone 2 pace run, and making sure you keep to it. Over time, that zone 2 will increase. But if you don't follow it, you'll just end up in the grey zone. You get a little bit of training adaptation, but not the right training stimulus for what you want to achieve. And that's what I'm focusing very heavily on in my training, is when it's zone 1, zone 2, I do zone 1, zone 2. It feels so slow and it's so demotivating. My average pace over, I think, June was 8 minutes per K. That's, for some people, that might be fast, but for me, I'm aiming for the Olympics. You're not going to the Olympics on 8-minute Ks. So, but trusting that in 6 months, it'll be lower. In 1 year, it'll be lower. When it comes time to actually qualify, hopefully, it's going to be much, much lower. And having the motivation and discipline to trust my plan and trust the process, and that eventually I will get those goals. But you gotta have the discipline. It might feel tough going easy, but sometimes you need to, because you're not going to get as much of a benefit going hard all the time than if you swap up the paces. The biggest misconception I get is that there's a lot of people, they lose motivation because they think they can improve on a a 6, a 10, a 12-week training block, yes, you can improve, but are you going to be optimal performance? Unlikely. I'm a much bigger fan of longer training blocks, 20, 26 months, 1 year, because you can build up a solid base. You can then do a very solid build. If you're training for a marathon, you can do a very solid half as part of that plan. You can build up and do so much improvement, which, just starting on a 12-week plan, there's just not enough time. Because if you're starting from scratch, maybe you can eventually do a fast 5K, but if you want to start from zero and do a marathon in 6 weeks, it's just not going to happen. And a lot of people think they can do these 12-week plans and then all of a sudden go, sub 3-hour marathons. Now, I know my specific training is not normal because I've got a 7-year time frame. I'm not worried about how my training will go next week, next month, in 6 months, even next year, because I know I've got 7 years. So I'm working on building that base super solid. Another part of discipline is making sure I don't just hit the sessions, don't do the fast stuff. I do the easy stuff as easy as I can. So I think I've already turned around, it's 425, 4.25k, so it'll be 8.5k for the run. Currently averaging mid 250 for watts. I want to do mid 240s, so I'm pushing too hard. Part of discipline is making sure you don't overexert, especially in recovery weeks. And I'm going to end it here because the more I talk to the camera, the more I speed up. And I need to know, have the discipline to take it easy when I go take it easy. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, train hard and train smart. Make sure you get your recovery weeks in. And I'll see you guys next week. I appreciate you guys for watching the videos. As I said, it's very motivational. You want to get to see all the views and that people are following. And it's fantastic. Really appreciate you. Ciao.